What is up, everyone? Today, I'm going to be ranking every receiving core in the NFL, but I'm going to be using the ranking quizzes on my website at BLAIDEN.com to do so. So if you're unfamiliar, I have these ranking quizzes where you can rank quarterbacks or NFL coaches or NBA players or NFL teams on my website. And because I have the NFL team one, what I can do is I can just pick whichever team I think has a better receiving core. And then at the very end, it'll spit out a full ranking of every receiving core in the NFL. So up first, we have the Tennessee Titans, who just added DeAndre Hopkins, and the Washington Commanders. Now, I would lean Tennessee because I do like Hopkins a lot, and I think he adds a lot to this receiving core, and I like Treylon Burks. However, if before they added DeAndre Hopkins, we were to look at this receiving core, a lot of us would have said this is the worst receiving core in football, and I don't think adding Hopkins makes them better than what Washington has in Terry McLaurin and Jahan Dotson, who was really good last year, and Curtis Samuel. Like, they have some legit weapons there, and I don't know if Hopkins is enough to put them over that hump. So I took Washington there, but next up we have Seattle and Tampa Bay, and I think this one's pretty easily Seattle. I'm not even gonna debate the idea of it not being Seattle, just because, DK's great. I like Lockett a lot. They added JSN. That's probably better than the entirety. Like, Tampa has some dudes there, but I don't know if any of them I would put over DK, Lockett, and then JSN will probably be up there eventually. He's just a rookie right now. Next up, we have Pittsburgh and San Francisco. This is another pretty easy one, I think. Even though I like Pittsburgh's guys, like Deontay's really good, and is a really dynamic player, and Pickens is a really great contested catch artist. And I'm going to include tight ends like Debo, Ayuk, Kittle, and if you want to include McCaffrey, they just have too many guys, I think, that can really impact in the receiving game. This is another easy one. Like, outside of Garrett Wilson, who do the Jets really have? Give me A.J. Brown, Devontae, Goddard. Like, that is cream of the crop right there. This one might be kind of tough. The Saints and the Giants. Shaheed's not terrible. Chris Olave has real number one potential. So even if Michael Thomas doesn't play, which, what are the odds that Michael Thomas plays a full season? I think at this point you look at Olave is probably the one there who is really, really good. He got overshadowed a little bit by Garrett Wilson last year, but he's fantastic. And then I look at the Giants and I'm like, Slayton's not bad. Darren Waller's good when he's healthy. But overall, it's a bunch of guys that I think benefited from a really good scheme more so than the receiving core itself being really, really good. I think I lean the Saints here. That might be a controversial take, but I think I lean New Orleans here. All right, so we've got the Patriots and the Vikings. This is obviously Minnesota. This one's obviously the Miami Dolphins. Let's not kid. Cooper Kupp's great, but he's not better than Tyreek Waddle, both of them. This one's tricky. Okay, so they added Mayer, and they already had Devontae and Renfro. So that's kind of and they added Jacoby Myers. So it's Devontae, Renfro, Jacoby Myers, and Michael Mayer, or Mike Williams and Keenan Allen. I was like, this is going to be tough. And then as soon as I talked myself through it, this is probably the Raiders. Okay, maybe you're like, well, you have to include Eckler in there. And yes, Eckler's a good player. I think I would rather have the Raiders' weapons. Okay, this one, here's the thing. The Chiefs are not going to rank highly on this list. And I think Chiefs fans don't understand, that's okay. They have Kelsey, who's amazing, but Rashee Rice, who I liked coming out of the draft, he's probably going to get significant playing time this year. And I don't think he would on a lot of other teams. And you look at Calvin Ridley's a real number one. Christian Kirk was good last year. Ingram was good last year. I think you as a collective unit, I think you have to go Jacksonville, right? Kelsey's amazing, but that's it. And it's you just know that when you have Mahomes, you don't really need that kind of an insane group. Houston and Indianapolis, we just talked about this on a recent episode of the pod. You got to go Indy here. Houston's guys could pan out, but again, it's John Mechie, Nico Collins. It's this is not a real receiving group yet. but I mean, it could be. Detroit and Green Bay. I think, like, if Jameson pans out, even if Jameson doesn't pan out, you're probably taking Detroit because you probably take Amon-Ra over all of the receivers in Green Bay, right? I'm taking Detroit here. Dallas and Denver. I mean, you got CD. They added Brandon Cooks, who I always forget about. If you can get Michael Gallup to stay on the field, the receiving core is looking really nice in Dallas. I cannot really say the same for Denver. They have some guy. I like Judy. He's a really good route runner, but I mean, what have we seen from him thus far that shows that he would be better than like the third or second best receiver on the Dallas Cowboys right now? Then you have Sutton, who can barely stay healthy, and Tim Patrick didn't play last year. So it's like, what kind of a receiving core even is that? I got to take Dallas. We got the Browns and the Bengals. All right. So I've got to take the Bengals, right? Like, Jamar and T is probably the best duo in football, barring Tyreek and Waddle, or maybe AJ and Devontae. But let's not get it twisted. Like, the Browns have Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Donovan Peoples-Jones, David Njoku's a good piece. It's not better than the Bengals, but it's got some gas, it's got some juice, and it has enough volume, I think, and depth. You know, with Cedric Tillman being added, like, there's enough depth there that I think it's respectable. But I mean, the Bengals, that tier 1 duo is just so hard to beat. Oh God, the Panthers and the Bears. Here's the thing, man. I think, do you have to take the Bears here? I mean, they took DJ Moore from the Panthers, so that would make the most sense. I mean, the Panthers starting receivers are Terrace Marshall, DJ Chark, and Adam Thielen. They got Jonathan Mingo in the draft, but I mean, none of these guys are wanted around the league. Let's be real. At least the Bears have a guy in DJ Moore who is a viable number 1 option. And I think Cole Kmet is a little bit underrated. So I will give this to the Bears, and I think pretty easily. I wanted to see if I could like talk myself into Carolina, but no, it's the Bears, I think, by a decent margin right now. The Baltimore Ravens or the Buffalo Bills. Here's the thing with the Ravens, right? They've got the guys. I mean, they have Andrews, who is a tier, like, other than Travis Kelce, tier 1 tight end. Then they have Odell, and they have Bateman, and they drafted Zay Flowers. But Bateman was hurt last year. Odell gets hurt every year now. So it's definitely a concern that an offense that looks like it could be really, really successful, I mean, it could very easily fall apart just like that. And even though they have more dudes than Buffalo does, I think, you know, they have Diggs, who is amazing. Gabe Davis is good. I think, honestly, Gabe Davis might be a little bit underrated. And then Dawson Knox is a good tight end. The problem is that outside of, like, there's no one else that you can really go to on that. I might take the hot take of going in the direction of who would you rather have here? And I think who you rather would have is just Diggs, Knox, Davis. I think you have to take Buffalo. I think Diggs is too good to pass up on as a number 1, like a true number 1, like tier 1 receiver. I just don't think you can pass up on that. And Davis is a good number 2, and Dawson Knox is a good option as well. I think you have to take Buffalo there. This one's easily Atlanta over the Cardinals. Bro, Tennessee and Tampa. So who does Tennessee have? They have Okonkwo, they have Treylon Burks, they have DeAndre Hopkins. Who does Tampa Bay have? They have Mike Evans, and they have Godwin, and they have, Russell Gage? Neither of these options really make a big difference over each other. I mean, I think Okonkwo might be the guy that separates Tennessee, as like there is a third option in that building. So I guess that might be the direction that I go here, which, God. Seattle's better. Seattle's better. I think I'd rather have DK Lockett and JSN than McLaurin, Dotson, and Samuel. I think that's right. And it's like, if you view Dotson as better than Lockett and you view McLaurin as better than I think those are marginal. Like, I don't think those are like massive differences. So I think JSN is like a pretty substantial gap above Samuel, which maybe is unfair because he hasn't played, but I think that's who I think that group I would prefer. All right, Jets and Steelers. I think you still lean Pittsburgh here. Like the Jets receivers are good, but it's mostly just Garrett Wilson. It's like Garrett Wilson, Allen Lazard. They did get CJ Uzomah, but maybe I'm not giving them enough credit on like their depth, because their depth I think is far superior to Pittsburgh's. I mean, Corey Davis, McCole Hardman, right? And again, I mentioned they have Allen Lazard and Randall Cobb. I think I'm going to take the Jets here. I think I'm just going to roll with the fact that I think Garrett Wilson is so much better individually, and that like the rest of the depth is good enough, and CJ Uzomah can be good enough to make up some ground when Garrett Wilson isn't just going completely berserk. And I think I would just rather have Garrett Wilson than Deontay Johnson or George Pickens. Jets or 49ers? I think you got to go San Francisco. It's like they have a lot of guys that can make plays for them, and all of them are really, really good. Yeah, I think you got to go San Francisco. San Francisco is going to be up there with like everyone. It might be better than Philly too, right? Okay, I think the way I'm going to look at it is this. The Eagles' wide receivers are better, but not as deep, because you also have Ray McLeod and Jawan Jennings for San Francisco. San Francisco's tight end, George Kittle, probably better than Dallas Goedert, but Dallas Goedert's amazing. Like, he's great. And then McCaffrey is better. So I look at it from the perspective, like the receivers, I think carry more weight. I'm putting a lot of weight on McCaffrey and a lot of weight on Kittle to kind of be the tier one guys in this offense. And like Ayuk and Debo are really, really good, but I think I would rather have AJ Brown and Devontae Smith. So I'm going to go Philly. Oh God. I think you got to go New York here, right? I mean, who do the Patriots even have right now? It's like Devontae Parker don't have, and maybe part of the problem is just like they just run these like really congested offenses sometimes, but I think you got to go with the Giants here, especially if they have Saquon. Minnesota. So the question is, how much better is Cooper Kupp than Mike Williams and Keenan Allen? I would think a lot. This is so bad. Okay, I can't just completely disrespect Mike Williams, Keenan Allen, Eckler. Like, you would rather have three pretty good guys than like just one great. Like, they are not going to be a good passing offense. Like, they just can't. Maybe I'll eat my words and Cooper Kupp will go for 2,000 this year, but I think you got to go the Chargers. If they're healthy, right? And you could say the same for both. If both of these teams are healthy, I think you take the Chargers. Dolphins, thank you for giving me an easy choice. Kansas City, Kelsey's enough. You might go Kansas City again. I think Kelsey again might just be enough. I think healthy, you got Judy, a healthy Cortland Sutton, healthy Tim Patrick, Jerry Judy not doing too much. You might like Denver more here. But like, I don't hate the receivers here in Green Bay either. I think they have some real juice to them. It's just, they're so freaking young, man. I think we take Denver, but like just barely. Detroit. Ooh. I think I probably take Dallas. CeeDee's a top 10 guy. Brandon Cooks, again, good addition. Browns. Yeah, I think I take the Browns again. Ravens. Okay, now we're moving. Hot take. Do I take the Falcons? I'm thinking about it. Because here's the thing. Bijan, I think, adds some value to that receiving core. At least more so than Tyler Algier. I like Algier, but I think Bijan has legit receiving upside compared to him. And then Kyle Pitts, Drake London. I mean, if we're talking like as far as skill and health and like everything, I might take Atlanta here. That might be a hot take. It's close. It's so close for me. but I think I'm going to take the Falcons. That's a really hot take. I think I'm going to take Buffalo, though, over them. Again, I think Diggs is a step above. So we'll take Buffalo there. I think this is where we take Pittsburgh over Tampa, right? Probably take Deontay and Pickens and Freiermuth. Again, it's like the Bucks really only have 2 guys. So if you have more than 2 guys, you're probably better. Oh man, this is like neck and neck. No, it's not. No, it's really no. It's Pittsburgh. I tried to I tried to talk myself into that one being close. It isn't. Washington and Pittsburgh. This one's probably closer. This one's probably closer. We've got it is close, and it is close. I'm gonna give it to Pittsburgh. I will take Seattle though, and I think I'll take Seattle over the Jets too. DK, Lockett, JSN, that is a really great group of receivers, and Garrett Wilson's not better than like all 3 of them together. Whew. Whew. Damn. I think you take into account Kittle and Debo and Ayuk and McCaffrey. I think that's just like a little bit too much going on for Seattle to really have a shot here. But I don't think it's that far off. It's like the tight ends are so much better. The running back receiving game, the receiving game out of the backfield and what McCaffrey can do as like a legit third receiver is way better. I think the receivers again, I think are better in Seattle, like collectively as a unit. It's just, man, the rest is so much against them, and I think in this case, it might be enough that San Francisco takes it. Sorry, Seahawks fans. Oh, yeah. Do you take Cooper Kupp here? Is this where Cooper Kupp bends Skoranek? I mean, unless you think like Tyquan Thornton is like gonna be crazy, and he could, but I think most of the Patriots' success is gonna be coming from defense and the run game, not from the passing attack. I guess I don't have that much hopes for the Rams either. I just think Cooper Kupp is so good, and the Patriots don't have a guy even close to that level. I hate this game. It's just like Kupp is so good that I don't know if anything else freaking matters. We'll take the Saints here. I might take the Saints here too. Saints, Raiders. Devontae, Mayer, Renfro, Myers. They've got guys. Chris Olave, Shaheed, and like maybe Michael Thomas. Yeah. Got to give you the Raiders there. This is interesting. Okay. Minnesota has Jefferson, Addison, Hawkinson. Osborne's kind of underrated. It's a very similar setup to what the Raiders have going on here. And I think you just say Jefferson's better than Devontae, and you have high expectations for what Addison can be for them. So I think I take Minnesota here. You got to take Miami. Houston might have the worst receiving core in football. I mean, it's rough out there, man. I might take Indianapolis. I think Pittman's real good. I think Pierce was pretty good. Only going to get better, too. I feel like a lot of my criticisms of like Denver and the Ravens both come from just like, well, what if they're not healthy? I think I would rather have the Colts. I think I'm more confident in them right now, which maybe isn't like the best measure of like how good a receiving core is, but give me Detroit. Is Kelsey enough here? Okay, well, they have MVS. So the Chiefs have Kelsey, MVS, Kadarius Toney, and Sky Moore. I'm trying to think, like, do the Lions have that much of it? It's like, Amon-Ra St. Brown is not, like, he's good. I might be giving the Lions too much credit here. I might be giving the Lions too much credit on this list altogether. Hold on, I might have to, like, reevaluate. Their receiving core is not that good. I like Gibbs a lot, so maybe I should give like some credit there, but like I might be giving them too much of an edge. I might be underrating the Chiefs a little bit as a unit. because they actually do have some guys there that could be pretty nice. I think you take Dallas here. Who'd I rather have, Kelsey or CD? Kelsey. And then the rest, I think I take the Chiefs also. Oh, brother. Without Hopkins now, I honestly might take the Panthers. Yeah, give me the Panthers here, man. Ravens. I think I would take the Ravens. Yeah, I think the Ravens over the Bears. I probably take the Ravens over the Browns just by a little bit. Just because the Browns, like, outside of Amari Cooper, they don't have like a lot of, well, no, because it's like if you get healthy Odell and then you have Mark Andrews, like that is two high-level weapons. And then for what Zay Flowers can become, I think Zay Flowers has the potential to like he would be the wide receiver 2 on the Browns, I think, eventually. And I think the same for Bateman. So I probably take Baltimore just by a hair. Cincinnati wins that. Oh, Tampa wins one. I think Tampa finally wins one. Let's go. Congratulations. So the problem with this one is the Bucs really just have like Evans and Godwin, and that's kind of it. The Giants have more guys that I think you recognize as like value adds, you know, with Wandale and Hodgins and Waller, and if they have Saquon, you know, if they figure out a way for him to play this year instead of holding out the entire season, I think that's more value additions in the receiving game. But I think Mike Evans and Chris Godwin would both be preferred over all of those guys, minus maybe Saquon, but that's because of what him as a runner too. So it's close, but I might prefer Tampa. I might. Again, Tampa only has those two, and I think Kupp is widely better than both of them. I think I'm going to give the same logic here. Kupp is so much better. Hopkins is great. Burks is good. I like him a lot. And it's those two in a Okonkwo, and there's just not a lot else that moves me there as far as like plus addition. Again, we were talking about this might be the worst receiving core in football before they added Hopkins. Does the addition of Hopkins put them over Cooper Kupp and Skoranek and Van Jefferson? Maybe. It might. Because Hopkins is still good. He's probably, top 20? Maybe top 25? But Kupp's like top 5. Probably top 3, right? So how much do you need to exceed that? Like a lot. And I just don't know if they quite have it. I might take them again. I did. This is where I try to take Washington. Yeah, because I think Terry's probably a top 10 guy. And Dotson's real good. Samuel's a dynamic athlete. Yeah. I take Washington over the Chargers. Oh, okay. I like Olave a lot. If you have Thomas, that's tough. I think I have to take Washington again. I really do. I think the Raiders might just have more. Devontae, Jacoby Myers, Hunter Renfrow, Mayer. I think at some point I mentioned that the Raiders have Hollins. They don't have Hollins, the Falcons do. And I don't know if I've said that a lot in this video, but if I have and I've not cut it out, I apologize. They have Jacoby Myers though. The Raiders or the Steelers? Again, I think the Raiders have more guys in the skill position group than we're giving them credit for. I think they just might have a little bit more going for them than Pittsburgh does. Oh, man, again, they might just have a little bit more. And why are we out on the Raiders as a team? Because their defense stinks, outside of Crosby, and their quarterback is probably going to be terrible. Yeah. But I think just as a receiving room, the numbers probably won't look great this year because the quarterback play will be so bad. But I think I would prefer the Raiders room over the Jets. This is where the Raiders take a back seat. I think Seattle's probably better than them. Ooh. Jefferson's number 1. I like Addison. Osborne, a little bit underrated. It's there is a substantial drop off, I think, from Jefferson to the number 2. I think DK, Lockett, and JSN is just like a cohesive, great unit of receivers, man. And Jefferson's phenomenal. But is he enough to overcome that? Maybe. I mean, that passing offense was real good last year, but so was Seattle's. It's another tough one. This is a tough one. I think the only reason we might consider Seattle is partly because Geno was like the most accurate downfield passer in the NFL last year, but also they have receivers that are pretty damn good at tracking the ball down the field. We saw Kirk Cousins be a bit more aggressive last year, and that of course helped with the Vikings, passing offense being pretty productive. So it's hard to like pick between these two. I'm gonna take Minnesota. I think they have the tier 1 guy, and I like Addison and Osborne enough to they're not liabilities by any means. I think they're both plus additions to this offense. And Hawkinson, that's the other guy I wasn't mentioning earlier. So, and then I think I take San Francisco over Minnesota here. I like Miami's offense as a whole, but I think San Francisco has more receiving weapons. So I take them. I'm going to take Houston just because they have more guys that I like. So I guess give me the Panthers here, kind of for the same reason. They just have more guys that I think are fun little guys to have on the football field. I might take Carolina. Like, Watson and Dobbs excite me to a certain extent, but outside of that, I just don't have anyone that like really moves me in either direction. But I guess I haven't seen anything from Terrace Marshall or Mingo that should lean me in either direction either. This is really, I guess I'll take Green Bay. I guess I'll take the Bears. This one's tight. That's close. I think having a real number 1, I don't even hate Pittman. That's disrespectful to Pittman to be like, oh, they don't have a number 1. Pittman's really good. I think I'll take the Colts, but it's so close. Browns. I think I've been overrating the Lions receiving court just a little bit. Like, the Sun God, Amon-Ra St. Brown, real nice. He's good for sure. But outside of that, there's not a ton to be excited about, and I don't know if he's like a top 10 guy. I'm going to take the Browns here. I might even take the Browns over the Cowboys. I think the Browns just have a lot of depth, and maybe that's me being a little bit biased. But again, I think like Amari Cooper, Elijah Moore, Tillman, Donovan Peoples-Jones, Njoku. I mean, I just think this receiving core is so much deeper than a lot of teams in the league, but especially the Cowboys. Like, the Cowboys are real frail, I think, at that position. Like, even with the addition of Cooks, who I like. But how old is Brandon Cooks at this point? I'm going to take Cleveland. This is fucked, man. Kelsey is like tier 1 offensive weapon. So this makes it really tough. Even with the Browns' depth, I've probably been underrating the Chiefs a little bit throughout this. I might take Kansas City here. I might take him over Baltimore. I think Kelsey's like head and shoulders above every other tight end in football. And then the receivers are worse. I might lean Baltimore. Just a hair, though. Just a hair. I take Jacksonville here probably. Right? Ridley and Kirk was good last year, and like we talked about them before. I haven't seen Jacksonville on this in a while, actually. Man, as much as I do like Atlanta's group, I think I take Jacksonville over them. This is where it gets a little bit dicey. I might take Buffalo. This is insane. I think I'll take Buffalo here. Diggs probably is enough to get them over the hump here, and I don't know if Kirk and Zay Jones and Ingram are that much better than like Gabe Davis and Dawson Knox, if at all. This is bad. The Patriots receiving core, not very good, but Devontae Parker and Juju, I think, excites you a little bit more than Rondale Moore and Hollywood Brown. Or at least it excites me a little bit more. Same thing with Houston. I think just a hair more. Same thing with Carolina. Now, we're on the last iteration at this point. We're on the last array. Man, I think Green Bay might have the edge there. And then the Giants might have the edge here if they have Saquon. But Aaron Jones is a good receiver too. That's the thing. It's like 3 guys as opposed to like 3 guys. And if they have Saquon, it's like 4. So I'll take the Giants. Just barely. I think I might just take the Giants again. Just barely, though. It's so close. Now I take the Bears. Well, I think DJ Moore is better than Evans. And then I think Kmet underrated. But Claypool doesn't really move me. Mooney's okay. But I guess that's better than like Russell Gage and whoever the Bucks tight end is. I'll take the Bears. This is probably where the Bears' reign comes to an end, as if they have been going on a tear. I think I'd probably take Tennessee. I think I like, the 3 guys there just a smidgen more. Maybe. Yeah. I think maybe I might take Tennessee over Indianapolis here. Well, you know what? I think that's perfect. I think that's a pretty good spot for it to be. Right around between Tennessee and Indianapolis. Amon-Ra is really good. I don't know if they have that much juice outside of that. And I guess you could say the same thing for Tennessee, but I think I lean Tennessee just a hair. Okay. Dallas. Damn, I have the Rams. I think I have the Rams way too high. I really do. Dallas. I think I take Dallas again. I probably take Washington here. Probably take the Browns here. I think I take the Browns again. I might take the Browns again. The Raiders might have us here. The Raiders might have the Chiefs too. I think they might. I'll give it to them. Barely. I might give the Raiders the edge over Baltimore also. I'll take the Raiders over the Falcons. I might take the Raiders over Jacksonville. This is really close. Give me the Raiders though. Cincinnati. Collective group. San Francisco. I think that's a fair ranking. You've got your like tier 1-ish guys up at number like the top 6. That was a really hard list to rank. Then like 7 through 13 is probably your tier 2. Tier 3 is probably up to the Chargers. Tier 4 probably is to the Giants, and then your tier 5 is like Denver all the way down. Let me know what you guys think of this. I thought this was a pretty good ranking. I thought it came out all right. And if you want to take the quiz for yourself, again, it's on my website, BLAIDEN.com. And you can just go to the ranking quizzes and select the NFL team ranking quiz. And you can basically rank whatever you want by just using the teams. But yeah, this was a lot of fun. Really hard, but a lot of fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you all for tuning in. And as always, I'll catch you on the flippity flop.